Hello friends, how are you? So I hope you all are fit and fine. Yes, sir. So we started with chapter number 4, that is overhead costing, and I explained you what are the overheads. We discussed some basics of overheads, that why are we studying about the overheads, right? So all these things we discussed. Now in this lecture I am going to give you one more example on the overheads, that what are overheads, right? I have given you some examples, but we discussed about the classification of overheads also, right, on the basis of control, nature, function and element. Now one more example to make it even more clear to you, that is even more relatable to you. Okay, before we move on to example, one thing here, in the methods of secondary distribution I have given 4 methods. There is one more method also, that is step ladder methods, right? So I missed out here step ladder method. So I missed on writing that method here. So this is another method, right? So you might be thinking, sir, you are leaving one method. No, we are not going to leave any method. Don't worry about it, right? Okay, now coming to the overheads, I'll give you one quickly. Let's have one more example on the overheads, that how are the overheads being treated and what are the overheads? Why are we studying overheads? So let's try to understand one more thing, okay? Say you are a CA student. Sir, what say? Yes, we are a CA or a CMA student, right? I'll say you are a CA student, right, sir? CA student, CMA student, any student, sir. Any student, MBA student, BCom student, any student, right? Now, someone asks you that after you become a CA, can you tell me the subject-wise cost, the subject-wise total cost that has been incurred during the whole duration of your course, right? So what have you been asked? You have been asked about the subject-wise total cost, subject-wise total cost. That means each subject is your 1 unit of finished product. Clear? Now, for clearing this course, any course, CA, CMA, whichever course you are doing, 3 things are required. Sir, 3 things are required. What are the 3 things, sir? First, second, and third. Let's see. What are the 3 things? Sir, the first thing that is required is material. Right? Second thing required is labor. Third thing required is overheads, that is other expenses. Other expenses. I'll say other expenses. Right? These are the 3 important elements of cost. Now, if we talk about material, sir, it can be divided into 2 parts. Sir, what are the 2 parts of material? One is your books, right? Other one is your food, I can say. The food you eat. Sir, obviously, without food, can you study? No, sir. The food is the utmost requirement for us to study. Now, can you tell the price of the book subject wise? Say, what is the price for costing? Yes, say 1000 rupees. Sir, what is the price for accounts? Sir, 900 rupees. Sir, what is the price for, say, law? Sir, 1300 rupees. So you can identify the cost of books in 1 unit of finished product, isn't it? In 1 unit of the finished product, I told you what is your finished product. It is your individual subject, whether it is cost, accounts, law, whatever subject it is your 1 unit of finished product. Clear? So you can identify the cost. That means this is your direct cost. This is your direct cost. Now, food. So during the whole course you had, can you remember the whole the food you have been taking during the whole course? Sir, we don't remember what we had in the breakfast. How can we remember during those 5 or 6 years? Sir, it is not possible. Sir, how is it possible to remember this cost? You might be saving the invoices, right? Whether you are ordering from Amazon or whether you are ordering from any other website or whatever it is. For the food that is being cooked in the home, can you calculate the price of the food in 1 unit of the finished product? That how much food I have consumed for costing, how much food I have consumed for accounts, how much food I have consumed for law. Can you identify that? No, sir, that is absolutely not possible, right? So this becomes my indirect cost, right? The cost has been incurred. Yes, sir, obviously the cost has been incurred on food. Now, coming to labor. Sir, the labor again has 2 elements. What are the 2 elements? The two elements are hard work. The first one is hard work. Hard work means number of hours spent on each subject. Number of hours spent on each subject. Right? So you can identify that for costing, you spend say 15 hours. For accounts, you have spent say 13 hours. For law, say you have spent again 14 hours. So you can identify in individual subject how much of the time you have spent in that. The other thing in the labor is fitness, right? That is exercise, or you are going to the gym to stay fit, because if you will stay fit, only then you will be able to concentrate on studies. Yes, sir. Right? So fitness is very important. Now, if you are going to the gym, or even if you are doing it at home, can you identify how much of exercise you have done for costing, how much of exercise you have done for accounts, how much of exercise you have done for law, audit, advanced accounts? Can you identify it? No, sir. Right? So any cost on this part, on the number of hours, this is my direct cost. Right? And on this fitness or exercise, which I cannot identify in the 1 unit of finished product, this becomes my indirect cost. Clear? Right? Okay, sir. Now, the third part, other expenses. Sir, other expenses again have two parts. What are the two parts? Sir, the first part is coaching expenses. Coaching expenses. You say, I take a coaching of accounts, right, and I'm spending 10,000 on it. I'm taking the coaching of law, I'm spending 8,500 on it. Right? Sir, costing you are getting free of cost on YouTube. Say you are spending on costing, say 10,000 rupees. Yes, some of you might be spending. Right? This is a hypothetical example. Now you can identify the cost in 1 unit of the finished product, that is your subject. So in one subject, you can identify what cost you have incurred in coaching. Is that clear? So this becomes my direct cost, isn't it? This becomes my direct cost. Now, can there be other expenses relating to coaching? Sir, you are going to the coaching on your motorbike or your car, so there are going to be fuel expenses, isn't it? Until and unless your home is quite near to the coaching center, you will be going on some motorbike, on some car, right? On Activa or something. So there will be fuel expenses. Now, you are going to one center. This is one center. This is one coaching center, and this is your home, right? This is your home. You are going to the coaching center, okay, on your motorbike. In this coaching center, you are taking all the three coachings. You are taking law also, you are taking accounts also, and you are taking the cost also. You are leaving the house at 6:30 in the morning, 6:30 a.m. and coming back to the home. You are coming back to the home at 9:30 p.m. So during all this time, you are at this coaching center. That means you are traveling from your home to coaching center. There will be fuel expenses for this. There will be fuel cost. Yes, sir. But can you bifurcate this fuel cost between law, accounts, and cost? Can you identify that what is the fuel cost that has been incurred for law? What is the fuel cost that has been incurred for accounts? Or what is the fuel cost that has been incurred for costing? No, sir. Right? Because the fuel cost has been incurred in common, going to the coaching center where I'll be taking all the three coachings. So this fuel expense becomes my indirect cost. Right? And as I told you that what is overheads? Overheads is the sum total of all the indirect cost. Sum total of all the indirect cost. This is my overheads. Right? So this is my overheads. Clear? Sum total of all the indirect costs. Now, if someone asks you, sir, what is the price of the individual this subjects What is the cost of individual subject? Sir, in that case, the books you will directly identify, but you will have to identify this food cost also in cost, in accounts, and in law. This fitness exercise cost also you will have to bifurcate between costing, accounts, and law. Only then you will be able to find out the exact cost that has been incurred. You will have to distribute this fuel cost between accounts, between law and cost. Only then you can tell with accuracy that what expenditure has been done on individual subject. This is what we are going to study in the chapter of overheads, right? How to distribute these indirect cost into one unit of finished product, right? I hope so that now with this example, the most of things will be clear that what is overhead and why are we studying overheads, right? Now, coming to the next topic. The topic for discussion is types of departments. Types of departments. Right? For the purpose of overheads, a factory is divided into two departments, right? One is production department. One is production department. And the second one is service department. Okay. Now, what is a production department? Sir, production department is that department which is directly involved in the production of finished goods. This department is directly involved in the production of finished goods. Okay. Now, what about service department, sir? Service department provides services to production department and is not directly involved in production of finished goods. Okay. Sir, what? Okay, you have not explained anything. Okay, let's try to understand now. Say, this is a factory area. Okay. Here is my finished product, right? This is my FG. This is my finished product. Now, what happened is, I will be dividing my factory area into two parts, right? One is going to be the production department. The second one is going to be service department. Okay. Now, service department will be at the back of production department. This is a wall. Okay, say this is a wall here. This is a concrete wall here. Now, what is happening? Sir, this production department is directly involved in the production of this finished good. Obviously, sir, what is the work of this production department? The production of the finished good. Is service department directly involved in the production department? No, sir. There is a concrete wall in between this. So service department, what happens is, service department is providing the services to production department. Like, say, the production department can be weaving department, knitting department in the garment hosiery, right? In the garment units. What about the service department, sir? What are service departments? Some examples of service departments examples of service departments can be canteen services. Sir, the worker who is working in this production department needs a break, needs some food, needs some tea, coffee. For that, you have a canteen in your factory, right? Now, the guy who is working in the canteen, he is least concerned about the finished goods. What he is concerned about is providing services to the workers who are working in the production department, right? That person who is working in the canteen, he even might not be knowing what is being produced in the factory. What he knows is that I have to make tea, coffee, vegetables, chapati, and provide it to the production department. That is the only work that he is concerned with. He's least concerned with what is being manufactured by the factory, what is being sold, what is the finished good of the factory. He's least concerned about it, right? So what is the role of service department? Now, another service department can be inspection department can be there. Inspection department. What is the role of this inspection department? Just to check whether all the production is being done correctly or not, right? They are not directly involved in the production. They are not going to make a product by using their hands, brain, by moving the machines or anything. No. What they are doing is they are just doing the overall inspection, that whether whatever production is taking place, the workers are working fine, the production is taking place as per the rules, as per the laws, right? So that is the work of the inspection department. So they are also providing services. Clear? So for this purpose, the departments are being divided into two parts. Now, sir, why are we dividing these departments? The question is why, right? We have understood that there are two departments in any factory. One is production, one is service department. Sir, why this bifurcation is done? See, whatever is the cost of service department, the cost of service department, sir, there will be a cost in the canteen services now. What kind of cost will be there? Electricity expenses will be there, right? Then tea, coffee expenses will be there. Then workers' salary will be there. Sir, all these costs, are you not going to recover this cost from your customer only? Sir, obviously. See, try to understand one very basic logic of the business, that every cost you have to recover from your customer except for any abnormal cost. Because abnormal cost is not something which is the mistake of customer, right? That is why I told you that any abnormal cost is your loss. It is going to be incurred out of your pocket. But any cost which is being incurred in the manufacturing process, we are doing the manufacturing for my customer. So any cost which is being incurred for the manufacturing process, whether it is a service cost, whether it is a production department cost, it has to be recovered from the customer. So if you have to recover this cost from the customer, that means you will have to make this cost identifiable in 1 unit of finished product, right? So that is why we are identifying that what are the different cost of production department, what are the different cost of service departments, and then try to identify all the costs into 1 unit of finished product. That is why we are dividing. We will get the further clarification when we will move on to the primary distribution and all those things, right? You will get further clarity on this, right? For now, this is what you have to understand. You can write it down in your notebooks, this thing, that every cost except for abnormal cost. Okay, I'll write it down for you people. This is the general rule of business, right? That every cost except for abnormal cost is to be recovered from whom? Recovered from whom, sir? Recovered from our customers, right? So you need to remember this thing. This is the golden rule, I can say, right? This is the golden rule that you need to remember, right? So every cost is to be recovered from your customer. Clear? Is that clear? So from overhead perspectives, these are the two departments, production department and service department. Now, coming to the next topic, that is allocated versus absorbed overheads. Allocated overheads versus absorbed overheads. Right, sir. Let's see first what are the allocated overheads. What is meant by allocated overheads? So any overheads which can be identified, any overheads which can be identified in one department, those are known as allocated overheads. For example, let's say this is a factory area, right? This is divided into 4 departments: department 1, department 2, department 3 and department 4. Now every department is having its individual electricity meter. Every department is having its individual electricity meter. Now when this electricity is, this is a electricity meter, right? Now when this electricity bill will come, what will happen, sir? When this electricity bill will come, sir, this bill will come for individual departments, because every department is having its own electricity meter. So the number of units being consumed by individual departments is identifiable, right? It is identifiable. So that means this electricity is my indirect cost. I'm saying, see, listen to it very carefully. I'm saying identifiable in one department. I'm not saying finished good. What I'm saying is it is identifiable in individual department, whether it is a production department, whether it is a service department, right? So it is my indirect cost which is identifiable with the individual departments. This is called as allocated overheads. That means the allocation is automatically done because of the availability of individual electricity meters in each department, right? So we don't have to do anything in this case. These are automatically allocated, right? These are automatically allocated. These are known as allocated overheads. Now, coming to what are absorbed overheads. Coming to absorbed overheads. Sir, what are absorbed overheads? The overheads which are not identifiable, which cannot be identified, the overheads which cannot be identified in an individual department are known as absorbed overheads, right? Absorbed overheads are to be distributed. Absorbed overheads have to be distributed among different departments on some reasonable basis. Right? For example, again, let's say this is a factory area. So we are dividing this factory area into 4 parts: department 1, department 2, department 3 and department 4, right? And what is there is a common electricity meter. There is a common electricity meter for all these 4 departments. For all these 4 departments, this is one electricity meter. Now, when the electricity bill will come, say it is 10,000 rupees, can you identify how much of electricity has been consumed by department D1, D2, D3 or D4? No, sir, it will not be possible because this meter is running for all the 4 departments commonly. So it is not identifiable that how much of this 10,000 is attributable to department 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are known as absorbed overheads. Now, sir, but these allocation versus, see, this topic is there, allocated versus absorbed overheads, what we are doing. Okay. Now, what you will have to do is, sir, you will have to distribute, what you will have to do is, you will have to distribute 10,000 among all the departments, on some reasonable basis. On some reasonable basis. That means you will have to divide this 10,000 rupees on some reasonable basis. Clear? Say, this is one person, say Rahul. Okay. And he has a younger sibling, right? Say Vinay. Okay, sir. Right? So these are the 2 siblings. They've got 100 rupees from their father. 100 rupees they have got from their father. They went to the market and they bought 5 chocolates. Right? Now the problem is, on returning home, the problem is that how much of these chocolates should be given to Rahul and how much of these chocolates should be given to Vinay. Now this is very difficult to identify because this 100 rupees was given commonly to both of them. They went to the market, they bought 5 chocolates, but on their return home, it was a difficult situation that out of this 5, how to distribute this chocolate between Rahul and Vinay. So it has to be distributed on some reasonable basis. So this is a common overhead. This is an absorbed overhead. And this chocolate is to be now distributed on some reasonable basis. So they went to their father. They say, sir, father, how we are going to distribute this chocolate now? They say, very simple. Rahul is the elder brother, so he will get 3 chocolates. And Vinay is the younger brother, he will get 2 chocolates. This is what? On the basis of age, the father has distributed the overheads. That means on some reasonable basis, he has distributed the overheads between the various departments, between Rahul and Vinay as a department. This is what you have to do in the overheads, that this electricity bill of 10,000 rupees, it has to be distributed between various departments. So it can be distributed on the number of lights and fans and AC lights, fans working in the various departments. Here also number of light fans, here also number of light fans. So depending upon that, say in this department the number of lights and fans is 10, in this it is 6, in this it is 5, in this it is 4. So that means this department will be consuming the least of electricity and this department will be consuming the maximum part of electricity. So we can divide this 10,000 in this ratio of 10, 6, 5 and 4. Clear? So, sir, how we are to identify this reasonable basis? I'll do some discussion on this in the next, most probably in the next lecture when we'll discuss about the primary distribution. There I will give you a list of examples also for this reasonable basis, right? We'll do that. Right? So we'll discuss about this reasonable basis, that what can be the reasonable basis and what to do in the examination if there is some confusion regarding the reasonable basis. So these are called the absorbed overheads. That is, they are not identifiable directly into the departments, but they are distributed among the departments on the basis of some reasonable basis. Clear? So we are done with these two topics also, that is types of department and allocated versus absorbed overheads, and this was the agenda for this topic. Now, in the next lecture, what we are going to do is, now I told you that we have to distribute these overheads among the various departments, right? So next topic that we are going to do is what? So the next topic will be distribution of overheads. Distribution of overheads. Now this distribution of overhead means that the overheads are to be distributed among different departments. Now there are three steps in the distribution and absorption basically. Okay, I'll rewrite this topic. I'll say distribution and absorption of overheads. Absorption of overheads, right? So that means first distribute the overheads into the various departments, then identify those overheads in one unit of finished product. That is what we are going to study in the next topic, and we are going to spend some time on this topic. Very, very, very important topic. I mean, this is the whole topic is going to be extended to the next of the lectures, right? To the rest of the chapter. This is, I can say, the last topic also. I can say that this is the whole topic on which the whole chapter revolves around. So there are three steps basically. Three steps in distribution and absorption. The first step is primary distribution. The first step is primary distribution. This is what we are going to start in the next lecture. This is primary distribution. The second is what? Secondary distribution. Secondary distribution. The third one is absorption of overheads. Absorption of overheads. Right? These are the three steps. Say primary distribution, first step, secondary distribution, second step, and third is absorption of overhead. So these are the three steps, and in the next lecture what we are going to start with is primary distribution, and we are going to spend approximately I can say 2 lectures at least on primary distribution, right? 2 lectures on primary distribution, then approximately 4 to 5 lectures on secondary distribution. Then absorption of overheads is going to be a lengthier topic. It will take some time. Right? So this chapter is quite a big chapter, very important chapter to be understood very clearly, each and every concept. So I'm going to spend a good amount of time on this chapter. We'll practice questions also, everything we are going to do. Right? So all those who wish to have the handbooks, they can get the handbooks from our website, that is www.ksjteaching.org, right? And you can also download our mobile app from the Google Play Store. That is only for the Android devices. KSJ Teaching, you will search on the Play Store, you will get the mobile app. There are amazing courses like ICI study material course. That is one brilliant course and the most important course. Why I say so? Because I have done in detail discussion of each and every question and marking of important questions and telling you the areas where you can commit mistakes. That is why this course holds utmost importance. Okay, so you must download the mobile app also, and you will get all the notifications, everything on the mobile app, right? I hope this much is clear, so you can revise from the handbooks till this part, whatever we have done, only 1.5 page of the handbooks, what we have discussed so far. So in the next lecture, we'll be starting with this primary distribution, right? So see you guys in the next lecture. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much.